Charles Davis. CD, your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loves so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football, brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
One time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game? And this will go as a touchback, and they will begin things at the 25. So it's the NFC Stars who will get the ball first. And, Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as a coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
It'll be Sanders to begin the drive. And not much to speak of. Call it a 1-yard gain up to the 26. So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area. Not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. And he played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
An early test, 2 plays in. This is 3rd and 2. From the shotgun, it's Favre. Looking left side, and he's got a man. That's Rice. And he slips up past the 45 before being tackled. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st-round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Norm Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it's there, during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
This defense not budging, back-to-back carries of just 2 yards.
So many things go into making a good play on defense. In this situation, just not being blown out of the way was a big start, and then a nice tackle to finish things off.
So on 4th down, here's the Australia native Mitch Wishnowsky to punt this one away. Back deep, 2-time Pro Bowler Dante Hall. And this will carry out of bounds. Where are they going to spot it now? At about the 18-yard line, it looks like. So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in the conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came out late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
Throwing on second down. Brady. And it's complete to Antonio Gates. Well, Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon. Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. He had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride the Raiders in the NFL were about to go on.
Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second. Allen hit. He lost the football. And they take possession of the football and have it at the 36-yard line.
You remember in preseason we were going to the different training camps and visiting teams, and we always would see the running backs working out and going through those gauntlet drills, and, you know, guys either slapping at the ball or the machines. You got to learn to take care of it.
Yeah, they lost it there. Big fumble. Now, the NFC offense coming out here. And you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And, Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling the coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business.
And that's going to be caught. Touchdown NFC. Randy Moss, 36 yards, as his guys are first onto the scoreboard here this afternoon. Extra point by Anderson, up and go. And it's now a 7-0 game. Those are the kind of drives they like on offense, from the coordinator to the quarterback, the line, everybody. The one-play drive and into the end zone for 6. Fielded just outside the goal line. And he's up past the 20 to the 22-yard line. The AFC making their way out, and it's one of Coach's favorites, another local guy, Tom Brady, who will be at the controls. And boy, Coach always admired the way number 12 could run an offense, and especially his ability to stay calm under pressure.
Tom Brady is a guy who's always looking downfield. He never looks at the rush. He hangs in the pocket, and he makes a throw. He's a cool guy, and he's a tough guy. Let me tell you, there's no one calmer in the pocket than Tom Brady.
And I know that Coach has a great appreciation for Tom Brady, who turned 45 back on August 3rd, because Coach coached a guy like him in George Blanda, who played a long time.
Oh, this is intercepted, intended for Hill. Picked off by the Hall of Famer Ronnie Lott. And they'll take over inside the 45 at the 44-yard line.
And I'm not going to tell him that you called him old in our pregame meeting, but this guy has been around a long time. If there's a trick in the book, he knows it. He probably even wrote a few chapters. And this is what he's always had. And that's a nose for the football. He's able to come away here with the interception.
Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And, Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. It might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And, partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
And did he have enough? He did. He kept it online and managed to tuck it into the bottom right corner. And that will extend their lead even further. They already had the early lead, and they get the interception, Charles, and now they add 3 more with the field goal.
Well, they're in control of how this game is playing out so far. You mentioned the early lead. Now they're expanding on it, getting plays on both sides of the ball. A winning recipe if they can keep this up.
Oh, a good return up past the 30. Still going. And he will score. Touchdown, AFC. Now Adam Vinatieri for the point after. And they're back within a field goal. It's 10-7 now. Well, we talk a lot about explosive plays on offense and explosive play on special teams. Certainly one there and a kick return for a touchdown. So let's try this again. After the kick return TD, here's yet another kickoff. Here comes Devin Hester bringing it out. And he'll be brought down shy of the 20, so the decision to bring it out of the end zone, not a good one. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. Last time out, you remember their drive stalled, but thanks to their kicker, booted a long field goal to at least get them 3. Now here they'll try to do better and find the end zone.
And in our experience, how much fun is it for coaches to know that they've got a kicker who can nail it from long distance? Now the hard part is, as an offensive play caller, you don't want that in your head too much where you're relying on it, and he goes out and gets the job done for them. But I'm quite sure he would be content to just kick extra points from here on out.
Yeah, absolutely no question. I think his teammates would be okay with him just kicking the extra points as well. 2nd and 10. Here's Favre to throw. And incomplete on the deep ball. CD, we spoke of some of the Raiders' tough playoff losses from the decade of the 70s, but for one shining season, they put it all together, and that was 1976. You remember a 13-1 regular season, a memorable playoff win over New England. They dominated the Steelers 24-7. It tries for Rice, intercepted. Picked off by Stephon Gilmore, and his guys are going to take over at the 31-yard line.
It certainly feels like the classic second guess, but let's be honest about it. They had a chance going to halftime with the lead. Why did they take a chance with a throw there? I don't understand that.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. And now this defense has to try to protect that lead going into the locker room. The AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he could shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career. A 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady has more. There's 6 guys in the 15,000-yard receiving club. He's the only tight end in there. Tony Gonzalez, every snap he had to know where he was because he could make plays short, medium, and long, and often put the ball in the end zone.
A 3-yard loss to start the drive. They'll look to make that up and then some on 2nd and 13. Brady going to throw. That's complete to the fullback, Ricard. And he's going to get 7 out of this before being taken down at the 27. In danger of squandering their great field position as they come up on a 3rd and 7. Now the AFC going to take a timeout. It's their second as they stop it with 19 seconds to go in half number one. They got to get it to the 21 here on third down. Throwing now is Brady. And that is incomplete. Down to 15 seconds now. The coverage good that time by the NFC defense. Brings up fourth down.
Oh, that's going to hurt a bit because they needed to come through with a completion there. Now a drive that started with great field position is facing fourth down.
Vinatieri's kick is good. And that will knock us up at 10. So the interception set up a terrific field position, but 3 points, the end result.
Yeah, we can make this one pretty simple, partner. You always want to draw for points. That's one that you're going to look back on and probably say, we should have done better there.
All level now at 10 apiece as the kick's away. Fields it right around the goal line. And it's a pretty good return here as he'll get this up to the 29. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. And only 6 seconds on the clock, so time likely for just one play. Oh, he'll look downfield for Kittle. And now this is intercepted. My goodness. Picked off by Stephon Gilmore. And he will be brought down on what will be the final play of this first half. So that PI call will give him one more play.
And it'll be an untimed play as well. Now the half will end after this one, unless there's another defensive penalty.
The Hall of Famer's kick is good, and that will do it for them. Coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs, but for now, we present a very special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by Trey Mosley. Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't it?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducting coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. In the second half, forthcoming from Oakland. He'll set up the screen to Marcus Allen. And he almost gets this to the 30, taken down about a yard shy. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, it was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
Now on fourth down here, that pass knocked away and incomplete. On 1st and 10, it's Sanders. And he'll be taken down just shy of the red zone at the 21. as you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more without Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you're talking about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the old Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
Favre. Slant caught. A gain of 7 that time. Second goal. That's a staple of this offense. Drag route to the tight end.
Yeah, he's unable to use his size to break off much more yardage after the catch, but still an effective gain nonetheless.
They'll try to run with Sanders. And this has been a familiar sight all afternoon as they stop him behind the line. That'll be a loss of a yard, and it leads to a 3rd down.
Sometimes with the running game, you've just got to stick with it. Look, it's the 3rd quarter, no time to panic. But that also doesn't mean you just do it the same way you've been doing it the entire ball game. Maybe change up some blocking assignments or run a few different plays, but stay with the overall essence of the running game.
He needed 3. He got 2. Now that'll set up an interesting situation here on 4th and a yard. So through 3 quarters of the John Madden legacy game, it's the NFC start. Back now here on EA Sports. It's been a very hotly contested game to this point. Just a field goal separating these 2 teams as we get set for the 4th quarter. And that's going to be caught. Touchdown NFC. Randy Moss. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns here so far. And they're able to add on to their advantage. Extra point by Anderson, Ogden Good. And his guys will take a 10-point lead. So that drives 7 plays in length. And it's finished off by an NFC touchdown. Here comes Hall. He's going to bring it out. And in hindsight, probably should have taken a knee as he only gets this out to the 16-yard line. The offense for the AFC set to go now. Well, that last touchdown we just saw, what an important one. Now it's back to a 2-score deficit for this crew as they take the field here, and they are in desperate need of finding the end zone. And Brady's throw there, incomplete. Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told him, call me when it's 11 on 11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden the video game continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way. And John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies. Now a toss play, Allen. And he is going to lose yardage here. And quickly they get to the line. Now a play fake, Brady. They'll roll him out right. So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, the Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12 Emmy Awards, Madden the video game. It was very fitting back in 2006 that John Madden got the call to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A more deserving person you will not find. He gave an incredible speech on that day, Brandon. So many of his former Raider players were in attendance. He talked about how he envisioned that when the last person turns off the lights in the hall every night, that the bus talk football amongst themselves. And what a discussion that might be.
Yeah, he finished his speech by saying, "Today feels like the second time in my life that I'm being carried off on the shoulders of others. Yet instead of off the field, it's into the Hall of Fame. This has been the sweetest ride of them all." The AFC went for it, and it doesn't work out. And the NFC is going to get the football back in excellent field position. On the counter now, it's Sanders. And I think this defense knew what was coming as he is smothered behind the line. One of the best safeties ever, Ed Reed, in there to make the stop behind the line. So 2 minutes to play in the John Madden Legacy game. The NFC trying to finish this one off. We're back to Oakland after this. Second down, and back they go to Sanders. And he's going to have to protect the football and take his lumps here at this stage of the game as they stop him behind the line. But you think about John Madden in his retirement years post-broadcasting. He was about as active as most people are in their working years. I mean, he continued to play a key role on the NFL's competition committee. He was available to a wide range of people as a tutor, as a mentor. He continued to teach the game of football to all who would listen. And Charles, as you and I know, even continued to provide input, a lot of input on the Madden video game.
Yeah, I know a lot of folks that design and build this game certainly look forward to their yearly visits out to the Madden compound that he had out in the East Bay. They pitch the new aspects of each year's game to him, get his feedback, and then get to sit back and spend 6 hours with him on a Sunday, watching football and listening to him tell stories and talk even more about it. It had to be an incredible experience.
After the main field goal, Anderson back out to kick it away. Here comes Hall. He's going to bring it out. And the decision to come out of the end zone is going to cost him 5 yards as he's taken down right at the 20. The AFC offense set to take their next drive. And last time, went for it on fourth, didn't get it. We'll see if they can pick themselves up off the mat and do better this go-around.
Sometimes I have this vision of coaches writing notes to themselves before a game. And sometimes that note says, be aggressive, stay aggressive. Maybe that's what we saw in the last possession.
Yeah, they were very aggressive. This time, will it result in points? We'll find out. Now the AFC going to take a timeout. It's their second as they get it with under a minute to go now in the football game. So the big play has them all the way down to the 30 now for 1st and 10. On play action, now Brady. And that is incomplete. Now the coverage a little too good there, and it's second down. Brady's incompletion on 1st down leads to a 2nd and 10. They'll set up a throw. Under a heavy rush, and down he goes. They'll get to the line here, but remember, it's also 3rd down. On play action, it's Brady. And the throw there going to be incomplete.
That means it's just one last chance left, and this has to be a 1st down or a touchdown, or this game's over.
Now Brady got to have this one. He is going to find Hill here. And he is going to be taken down with a big gainer there on 4th. And the AFC going to keep the drive alive. One final try now for Brady. Looking end zone, but it's incomplete.
And now defensively in the 2-minute drill, the big key to me, make sure you understand your assignments. And anytime you get a chance to tackle someone in bounds, get them on the ground.
So now 2nd and 10 after the incompletion on 1st down. One final shot. They'll look to throw. So it's a win here for the NFC. Just an incredible afternoon of football.
Time to decide how you're going to make your Madden NFL 23 day. Become coach once again. Feeling a little rusty on them sticks? Head on over to the main menu and see the full array of options you've got to work with at Madden NFL 23.
Share with the whole team. Congratulate the whole team. Cause when you riding like we riding with each other, ain't no I in this. It's the whole team. Share with the whole team. Congratulate the whole team. Cause when you riding like we riding with each other, ain't no I in this. Tell them line it up. Like a 4th and 1, we sneaky when we slide them. Yellow offense with no defense, now y'all time is up. We make the hits, y'all take the hits, and now we fired up. 3, 2, 1, don't need no break. Hut 1, hut 2, give it straight, that's how I like it. And we grind it every night to make it hit, now it's exciting. See, they just getting cake, they ain't never gonna get no ice. And all we want is chips, ring fingers looking ice. My day ones here to dance at the beginning. So you know it's only right, that's how we end it. Came all the way from losing to winning. Yeah, I did it. But it ain't just me, it's the whole team. Share it with the whole team. Congratulate the whole team. Cause when you riding like we riding with each other, ain't no I in this. It's the whole team. Share it with the whole team. Congratulate the whole team. Cause when you riding like we riding with each other, ain't no I in this. See, we came up from the bottom, me and squad.